Let's talk about DCPromo process. In the process, you are presented with the deployment configuration. Here, you have several options. The first option is to add a new forest. Choose this option if you install the first domain controller of the forest. The next option is to add a new domain to an existing forest. Choose this option if you install an additional domain controller that hosts a new domain in the forest. The new domain can be a parent or a child domain. And the last option is to add a domain controller to an existing domain. Choose this option if you install an additional domain controller that hosts an existing domain in the forest. Next, the DCPromo process will present you with the domain controller options. Here you can select functional level of the new forest and root domain. Forest functional level and domain functional level determine the capacity of the ID domain or forest and determine which Windows Server operating system you can run on domain controllers in the domain or forest. The functional levels do not affect the operating system of the workstation or member servers that are joined to the domain or forest. So here you should select the lowest version of the operating system of the existing domain controllers in your domain or forest. You can specify domain controller capacities in the domain controller options. The first capacity is domain name system or DNS server. This option is the must since DNS is the required role for a domain controller to function. The next capacity is global catalog server. This option is only required when there are multiple domains in the forest. And the last option is read-only domain controller. This option makes the Active Directory database on the domain controller read-only, which means the domain controller can only receive the update from other domain controller. Select this option if you have physical security concern in the location that you put the domain controller. In the domain controller options, you can set the directory services restore mode password. This password is not the same as the domain administrator password. It is used to restore Active Directory database for this domain controller. For the best practice, keep the password in the domain controller profile. In a small environment, use the same password for all domain controllers. The DCPromo process allows to specify the location of Active Directory database, log files, and sysvol folders. For better performance, install the Active Directory database, log files, and sysvol folders on a dedicated drive. It is possible to migrate Active Directory database, log files, and sysvol folders to a new drive after the installation.